Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Roots of Biology. In my channel, I teach for class 10th, 9th and 8th, both CBSE and ICSE syllabus. Please do watch my video and like, share and subscribe because I'm discussing here related to biology for students. It might be useful to them for studies. Please share as much as possible. In our previous class, I was teaching for class 10th CBSE. Uh, yeah, that is life processes. Which lesson I was teaching? I was teaching life processes. Let us continue with the same lesson with few animated and real videos. Come, let us move on to the next slide. In our previous class, I explained you about digestive system and its process in human body as well as in amoeba. So today's class, let us discuss about a very important process, that is what we called as respiration. So if I ask you a question, what is respiration? What will be your answer? You already studied, right? Try to answer for this question in your mind. So respiration is nothing but breathing in oxygen and breathing out carbon dioxide. That is the general answer you will give me, right? Now let us discuss in detail about this. So respiration, it's a very important process. Here what happen? Whatever the food is burnt in the cell of the body, with the help of oxygen, it is helpful to release energy. So it mainly take place in a mitochondria of the cell. What is mitochondria? So it is a cell organelle, right? It is also called as powerhouse of the cell. We studied, right? So now let us discuss about what are the different process which is taken place here. So whatever the energy which is released during respiration, it is used to make ATP molecules. What is ATP? Adenosine triphosphate from ADP molecules. ADP is nothing but adenosine diphosphate as well as inorganic phosphate. So there is a one equation to understand about this. Before that, let us try to understand what is the difference between ATP and ADP. ATP, it contains 3 phosphate group and ADP, it contains only 2 phosphate group. So what is the major role of this ATP? It play an important role in the transport of macromolecules. What are macromolecules? Like lipids and proteins. Got it? So in and out of the cell. That is the major function of ATP. What about ADP? It is a very important for releasing and storing energy within the organism. So within an organism, that role it is played by ADP. So I hope you got it. The difference between ATP as well as ADP. So here what happened? ADP and phosphate energy which releases energy from respiration. This it will produce energy in the form of ATP. So whatever the energy which is stored in the cell in the form of ATP molecule, so whenever the cell require energy, ATP it broke down in the presence of water to form ADP and energy is released here. So here I have one video as well as one picture. Have a look at this video. So breathing in as well as breathing out, right? So here one more, that is lung, and we have a alveoli here. So this ATP, let us discuss about this ATP little bit more. I already told you. So ATP is a substance called adenosine triphosphate. So it is present inside the cell. Okay, and it has a high energy content, and it is a triphosphate because it contains 3 phosphate groups. Got it? So how it works? Just as a battery, provide electric charge for different purpose. We use battery for different purpose such as lighting, heating, running, right? So the energy is stored in the ATP. So the same way, which is used by the body cell for different purpose, like synthesis of protein, got it? The contraction of the muscles and other activities. That is the major role of this ATP. Now let us move on to the next slide. Now let us discuss about another important thing, that is a role of oxygen in respiration. So oxygen is very important, am I right? So respiration, it involves taking in oxygen into the cell, using it for releasing energy by burning glucose and then eliminating the waste product. So what are the waste product? Carbon dioxide and water from the body. So that is what we call as respiration. So there are some type of respiration can take place either in the lack of oxygen. So I can say fermentation, that is one better example for this, or in the complete absence of oxygen. That is what we called as anaerobic respiration. So why I explain this? I want to tell you there are two types of respiration. One is aerobic respiration, another one is anaerobic respiration. Now let us discuss about this aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration. The first, let us discuss about aerobic respiration. So these aerobic respiration, it mainly take place in the presence of oxygen. We require oxygen for aerobic respiration. Got it? It produces more energy. So the end products are the carbon dioxide, water and energy. So it mainly take place in most of the organism including human beings. Got it? So here what happened? Aerobic respiration here, the glucose, you can see here, these glucose, it is converted into pyruvate. So these glucose molecule, it is converted into pyruvate in the cytoplasm in the presence of oxygen. So then in the presence of oxygen, what happens? In the presence of oxygen, so the pyruvate is converted into carbon dioxide. Got it? So again these pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, it is converted into carbon dioxide, water and energy in the mitochondria. So this is what we called as aerobic respiration. The respiration which take place in the presence of oxygen. So the respiration which uses oxygen to break down food is called aerobic respiration. I can say in a simple way. It produces energy in a considerable amount. It is stored in the form of ATP molecules. Whatever the energy which is produced, it is stored in the form of ATP molecules. So that's why I can say the mitochondria is the site of aerobic respiration in the cell. So we human beings obtain energy by aerobic respiration. I hope you got it. So now let us discuss about another important respiration. So that is called as anaerobic respiration. It's very important to understand this anaerobic respiration. So it mainly takes place in the absence of oxygen. So it produces less energy when compared to aerobic. The end product of this respiration is lactic acid or ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. So it mainly takes place in muscle cell as well as in the yeast cell. So now let us discuss about human muscle cell also respire anaerobically. So have you ever think like that? So in our body, how does it function anaerobically? So when they not receive sufficient oxygen. Have you ever heard about muscle cramping while running, while doing some vigorous physical exercises? We may felt it, right? So that particular pain or cramping, so that mainly take place, that is what we called as anaerobic respiration in muscle cell. Here what happened, the glucose in the presence of oxygen, what happened, the glucose is converted to pyruvate. But in the absence of oxygen, what happened here, the glucose is converted into lactic acid and energy. So that's why we feel cramping over there. So that is what we called as anaerobic respiration. So they break down glucose in the absence of oxygen to make a lactic acid. So the accumulation of lactic acid, it causes muscle cramps. So muscle cramps can be relieved with a hot bath as it increases circulation over there. Got it? So it increases blood flow to increase oxygen level again, after which muscle cells to break down lactic acid to carbon dioxide and water. So that is the major thing which we can understand here about respiration, anaerobic respiration in muscle cell. Now let us discuss about anaerobic respiration yeast. Okay, so here what happened, the glucose is converted to pyruvate in the presence of oxygen, we know that. But here what happened, the glucose is converted into, in the absence of oxygen, it is converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide and energy. So this process is called as fermentation. So have you ever heard about fermentation process? So this is regarding, yeah, anaerobic respiration in muscle cell as well as anaerobic respiration in yeast cell. So the breakdown of sugar by yeast to make a alcohol in the absence of air, that is what we call as fermentation process. I hope you got it. Let us move on to the next slide. Now let us discuss about breakdown of glucose by various pathway. We already discussed about this. Have a look at this picture. So you can see here, it's a pathway to understand how glucose break down in different way. So glucose is broken down into three carbon molecules called pyruvate, okay, in the cell cytoplasm. So these pyruvate, it further broke down by different ways to provide a energy. You can see three ways it is helpful to obtain energy. These pyruvate break down into different ways in different organism. So let us discuss about this now. What happened in yeast cell? I already explained you. During fermentation, this pyruvate is converted into ethanol, carbon dioxide in the absence of, and it will provide energy in the absence of oxygen. Got it? The second one you can see in my when there is a lack of oxygen, what happens especially during vigorous activity in our muscle, the pyruvate is converted into lactic acid, okay, the lactic acid, and it will produce energy. So and the third type, that is in mitochondria, here what happen, breakdown of pyruvate take place in the presence of oxygen to give rise to molecules of carbon dioxide and water, so and energy. So in this way the breakdown of glucose which take place by various pathways. I hope you got it. Now let us try to understand about very important process, that is respiration in human. How respiration which take place in human body. So before that we need to understand what are the different parts in our body, right? So which is helpful for respiration. So have a look at these two pictures. I will tell you what are the different parts. Um, the main organs of respiration are nostrils, nasal cavity, pharynx, and we have a larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, lung and diaphragm. These are the major important parts of respiration. So this is what we can see here. So this is our nose. Got it? So we have a nasal, this is what we, inside this we can see nostrils, the nasal cavity, and we have a pharynx. This particular part is called pharynx. You can see in this picture clearly. So where exactly the pharynx is located. This is pharynx, and we have another part called larynx, and we have trachea. So you can see a ring-like structure. So this is what we called as trachea. Got it? And we have bronchi. So these structures, these branches, what we can say, this is known as bronchi. Inside this we can see branches of this bronchi is called bronchioles. So it mainly contain alveoli. Got it? So this is regarding the different parts of respiratory system. So let us move on to the next slide now. Now let us discuss about the very important part, that is what we call as a nose. So human have a exterior nostrils, so which are divided by a framework of cartilaginous structure called septum. So okay, so this is a structure that separate the right nostril from the left nostril. So we have a two holes in our nose, right? And it has a tiny air follicles. So it mainly cover the interior lining of the nostrils. So what is the function of this air follicle? It acts as a first line of defense against foreign pathogens as well as dust particles. It traps those particles, and it is also helpful to provide additional humidity for inhaled air. That is the major function of air nostrils, which is followed by larynx. This part you can see here, this is larynx. So it is found in front of the neck, and it is responsible for vocal, so as well as it is helpful for respiration. So this larynx, it is also called as voice box. It is helpful to generate voice. We used to talk, right? So scream, so whatever the thing which has happened, it mainly due to larynx. It is also called as voice box. So the next part is pharynx. So the nasal chamber open up into a wide space called pharynx. It is common passage for air as well as food. So it function, what is the function of this pharynx then? So it is helpful to prevent the entry of the food particles into the food pipe, because it has a particular, in this there is a particular structure called epiglottis. It has a elastic cartilage which serve as a switch between larynx and the esophagus. It acts as a switch between larynx and the esophagus by allowing the passage of air into the lungs and the food into the gastrointestinal tract. So that is the major function of this epiglottis. And then one more question I wanted to ask you at this point. Have you ever wondered why we cough when we eat or swallow? Have you ever think why we and your parents will say no? So if we get a recurrent cough, suddenly the parents will say, "Hey, drink water," right? So why this happens then? So while talking while we eat or swallow many may sometimes result in increasing coughing, right? So there is the reason behind this is so reaction is epiglottis. What happened here? It forces to open for the air to exit outward and the food to enter into the windpipe. So due to this, it trigger a cough. That is the reason we used to cough. And when we drink water, it will come back to its normal state. So the next part is trachea. So trachea or the windpipe, it rises below the larynx. Where it is present below the larynx and move downward the neck. So the wall of the trachea, it is usually we can see she-shaped cartilaginous rings. So which give hardness to the trachea and maintain it by completely expanding. That is a major function of this. So trachea extends further down into breast bones. You can see it extend further into the breast bones and split into two bronchi. So this particular part is called bronchi. So one of each lungs. So it is two bronchi. It is present in each lungs. So which is these bronchi. I told you just now, which enter in each lungs individually. The bronchi divided into secondary as well as tertiary bronchioles. You can see the branches here, and it is further branched out into small air sac called alveoli. This particular part is called alveoli. So are the single celled surface sacs of air with the thin walls. What is the function of this alveoli? It is helpful to facilitate the exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide molecules into or away from the bloodstream. That is the major function of alveoli. So major part, that is lungs, I think. So what is the function of these lungs then? Lungs are the primary organs of respiratory system in human and other vertebrates. They are located on either side of the heart and in the thoracic cavity of the chest. So the lungs are spongy organs. Okay, so is estimated total surface area of the lungs is around 50 to 75 square centimeter. So the primary function of the lungs is it is helpful to facilitate the exchange of the gases between the bloodstream and the blood and the hair. And the right lung is the very interesting fact about the lung is the right lung is quite bigger and heavier when compared to the left lung. So this is regarding the different organs and its important functions in a respiratory system. Now let us try to understand about mechanism of breathing. It is very important to understand about this concept. Got it? So in breathing what happens? We know that human beings, they will inhale oxygen, they used to exhale carbon dioxide. Come, let us try to understand about this now. So during inhalation what happens? The diaphragm, there is a particular organ which is present below the lung. This is called diaphragm. It contracts and it will move down. What happened for the rib cage? The rib cage, it move upward and outward and it expands. Got it? So this result in increasing the volume of the chest cavity, so and reduces the pressure inside its volume. So this is the process which take place in a inhalation. So when the pressure inside the lung reduces, then the air from outside rushes into the lungs, which is followed by exhalation. So during exhalation what happens? The diaphragm, which is present below the lung, it relaxes, it move up and return to its normal uh, dome shape. The rib cage also return to its normal position. This reduces the volume of this chest cavity, which in turn increases the pressure inside and thus air is expelled out. So in this way the process of breathing which take place in a human being. So how mechanism occur? When we breathe in air, the muscles of diaphragm contracts and moves downward and the chest cavity expands and air will enter into the lungs. So what about when we breathe out? The muscle of the diaphragm relaxes and move upward and the chest cavity contracts and the air goes out of the lungs. So this is what we call as the mechanism of breathing. Let us try to understand about this mechanism of breathing by a small experiment. So the materials required for this experiment is, we need a wide mouthed plastic bottle, we need a blade, we need a Y-shaped glass tube. Okay, this is Y-shaped glass tube we need, and one hold cork we need, and balloons and rubber sheet. These are the materials which is required for this procedure. How to conduct this experiment? So here what we have to do, we have to take a wide mouthed plastic bottles, and we have to cut the bottom of the bottom with the blade. We have to cut it with the blade. So then we have to take a one hold cork and tightly close the top of the bottle. We have to close the top of the bottle with the cork. So which is followed by, we have to take a Y-shaped glass tube. You can see. So this Y-shaped glass tube, and we have to insert the balloon on both the ends. We have to insert balloon on the both the hands. So okay, insert the Y-shaped glass tube into the cork in the inverted position. So take a rubber sheet, we have to take a rubber sheet and cover the bottom of the bottle and tie the top with a rubber band. We have to tie with a rubber band. So just pull the rubber sheet and downward and observe the changes in the balloon. So we have to pull the rubber sheet downward, we have to observe the changes, then push the rubber sheet upward and observe the changes in the balloon. So we have to repeat this experiment to understand better. So what we observe here, so the EGBO experiment, it mainly stimulates the respiratory system of human. So the balloons are represented as a human lungs, got it? So which describe the inhalation as well as exhalation process. So during inhalation what happened, the diaphragm moved downwards and the chest cavity increases in size. So air enter the lungs, got it? Air enter the lungs. During exhalation what happened, the diaphragm moves downward and the chest cavity decreases in size. Chest cavity, it decreases in size. So the air forced out from the lungs. So this, it's a very interesting and very important experiment to understand the mechanism of breathing. I hope you got it. Now we have a real video of a lung. Have a look at this video. So it is a healthy lung of human. So you can see how breathing which take place here, and we have one animated video of lung, and also we have a healthy lung picture. So this is the structure of lung. It is very important for respiration process. I hope you got it whatever I explained today. So it's very important. Please try to understand better. Till now we discussed about respiration and what are the different organs, how respiration occurs in human. In our next class, I'm going to explain about transportation. I hope you got it, whatever I explained today. So please do watch my videos. Please do like, share and subscribe. It might be useful to many students. Thank you.